Welcome to the Rebirthing Breathwork Summit, a free online event where you'll learn to integrate the power of conscious energy breathing to transform your mind, body, and spirit. Share this online event with your friends and family and join the conversation inside our Facebook group, Rebirthing Breathwork Summit. And now your host, Devendra Narayan.
Welcome everyone to the Global Rebirthing Breathwork Summit. This session is called What It Means to Be Fully Alive and How Breath is the Key. And our guest speaker is Lucille. After a 10-year corporate career, Lucille received signs that it was time for her to release the mask that she was wearing to fit in a society and go find who she really was. Her journey began with the long travel and spiritual experiences that led her to heal, listen to her soul's calling, her intuition, and her feminine. 2.5 years ago, she received a message to learn rebirthing, which led her to study this breathwork modality under the guidance of its founder, Leonard Orr. She applies her personal transformation experience with the divine feminine energy an expanded state of consciousness to help and guide others. Lucille is a trained transpersonal therapist, a coach and breathworker. She believes that we are spiritual beings on earth and we should aim to live a life where we can express our soul's desire. Welcome, Lucille.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Devendra. Hello, and hello to everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here and to share this moment with you. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you, Lucille. So you spent 10 years in the corporate world and then decided to travel and explore who you really are, as you write in your intro. What made you make this profound shift in your life? Could you share your personal story with us?
Yeah, I can, of course. I think my story is becoming more and more common now because we see so many people leaving the corporate world or the big cities to find themselves. So that's just what I did. And when I went to study, I was just lost. If I start from the beginning, I was a child, very sensitive, very connected to nature. Like very always in nature, talking to nature, to trees, to spirits, to whoever. And things happen in my life, like kind of trauma, some big trauma, some small trauma, but it led me just to be lost, I would say, as a lot of teenagers can be lost today in our world. And so when the time came to choose what I would study, I had just no idea. So someone told me, oh, you could do a business school. And I was so lost. I said, okay, well, why not do a business school? And that's how it started. And then it led me to work in a very huge company, American company, for luxury brands. And I worked for 10 years in Paris, because as you can hear, I'm French. And I had this so cliche life, I was earning very good money, working for a luxury brand in Paris. And for a while it was fun at the beginning, but after a few years I started to be bored. And it was very superficial in a way. And the last years, I started to be bored and I started to just feel lost and I was always stressed out. So it didn't end with a burnout as some people experience. To me, it was just a sense of being really bored and like, is this really my life? Even if I had many friends and I was doing many great things, it was just, when I look at it from now, I'm like, wow. There was such a difference between the child that I was and this woman in Paris doing this work. And I was like, how could this happen? How could this child become this woman? Something is wrong. And I feel I've always been guided. Well, the truth is I think we're all guided. Then it's just a matter of how much we want to listen to this. But I was exactly at this place where I was like, I don't really know if it's still for me, but I had no idea what else I could do. And I was not really ready to take a big step. I was just like, I'm not sure it's for me. And then what happened is that during a week, like in the space of 7 days, first I sold my apartment in Paris just because I needed some money. So I sold my apartment. Maybe 2 or 3 days after that, I broke up with my long-term boyfriend that I had. And maybe the next day, I had an appointment with my boss in my company. And I was supposed to receive a promotion. And he just said, well, you know, I'm not sure, da, da, da. So I didn't get the promotion. And he said, yeah, your results are very good, but there's something in your energy. I don't really see you in that job, let's say. And I was like, what? I worked so much, da, da, da. And I left. And maybe an hour after, I just laughed. And I said, he's so right. I don't see myself in this position neither. And so within a week, I had lost my apartment, my job, and my boyfriend. And that's why I felt really guided, because then, I mean, it was obvious that something had to change. Because I could have said, okay, I'm looking for a new job, a new apartment, a new boyfriend, but it was too much of a change. So I thought, okay, this is really the sign that something needs to change. And without further notice, I just packed a bag, sold everything that I had, and leave for travel. And I went and I traveled the world for a year. And that's when everything changed.
Wow, talk about wild, right? Talk about shift, and such drastic shift within a week that you went through. So many of us, when we are in situations, so I love what you said, Lucille, we are all guided. You said we are all guided, we just have to listen.
Yeah.
And you have such a gift to listen and make such profound changes in your life. What advice could you give to people who are listening out there in the world, who may be thinking about taking a big step, but there's always fear, there's always hesitation that comes. There's always your mind begins to play games with you to take that big step. So what was that one profound message that really made you, or what are the series of messages that allowed you to make that profound shift and transformation?
Well, first, you know, I strongly believe on an effortless path, or the path of non-resistance. I have really this belief that life is not supposed to be a struggle. It doesn't mean that I don't struggle, I do, but when I do struggle, I always look inside of me, what is not aligned, or I look outside of myself. What is it that I'm not in resonance with? So I would say that whenever we are in a situation when we feel we struggle, when life is not just happy and simple, then there is something wrong, whether it's inside or outside. But now, 10 years after, because that change was 10 years ago or 9 years ago, I can really say that life is supposed to be simple. Like there is a way to have a simple, peaceful, loving life. And that we can achieve whatever we want. We can have a lot, or we can just like have just enough. I mean, it's not a matter of how much we have. It's just a matter of there is a way to make this simple. When inside it's very clear. And the thing to me, it was not difficult to live because I've always trust. And it's difficult for me to explain how I trust, because I just trust. I think I've always trust life. So when this happened and when I kind of lost everything, I was just like, yeah, okay, so let's go. Let's try something new. And after this travel, I came back. So I did so many very strong and amazing experience. And when I came back, it's just my heart was so open. And sometimes just people would meet me and say, oh, you have so much light. And I just realized that it's just because I left the society, I left all the conditioning, you know, and in every country I would go during these travels that lasted for a year, every country made me confronting my beliefs. In one country it was about family, in another country it was about money, in another one it was about politics or religion, but each country has different beliefs, so it made me really think about everything that that I thought was true when I was traveling. And you know, because you've also traveled and you moved from countries, so I think you really know what I mean. But every time I was going to a new country, I could see that everything that I was thinking was true was absolutely not true. It was just my conditioning. So I came back very free from that. Of course, I had to build a new life, but free from all this past conditioning.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with you. I think your travels teach you more than, you know, you studying a book or, you know, talking to someone. That was 9 years ago, Lucille, and you came across breathwork somehow. I'd like to know how that happened and your experiences with Rebirth. And you said you got a message, and so many of our speakers that I have interviewed on this summit have told me that they received a message. Even the Rebirthing Summit, I should say, by the way, the Rebirthing Summit, the birth of it was a message to me. So all of us are getting these messages. And what was your message to go study with Leonard?
It was just an intuition. So when I came back from that travels, first I started to study about energetics and psychotherapy. And then I was living in Paris, working in Paris with my practice of therapist. And I wanted to leave Paris, and same thing happened. Like, I broke up with my partner and I wanted to leave Paris. And so I just decided to go on a travel, because that's what I do. Now I know when I need to change something in my life, I first go and travel a bit. So I was just thinking, okay, I'm going to leave and travel. What should I do? Where should I go? I had no idea. I had no specific intention. And it's like, you know, I've never done breathwork before. I just had learned about or heard about holotropic breathing very long time ago, but breathwork, rebirthing, I don't even, at that moment, so it was 3 years ago, I didn't even knew it was existing. Like, I had no idea what rebirthing was. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to leave, I'm traveling, what should I do? And then 3 words came to my mind: feminine, like feminine energy, spirit, how is it called in English? Vision quest, and rebirthing. And I was like, but what is rebirthing? So I just looked online, and rebirthing, okay, it was created by Leonard Orr. Okay, who is this Leonard Orr? So I checked, and I found out that he still had a center and he was just still training. So I said, okay, I sent a message and I said, when can I come? And that's how I planned my training with Leonard. But I had never experienced one session of breathwork nor rebirthing before. I didn't even know what it was. And I arrived there completely new, knowing nothing. But yeah, so that's why I say, to me, it was really like a message. It was like the word came into my mind almost for the first time. and I went.
You say breath is a mirror of how we live our lives. Can you talk about that? How is it that the way we live gets reflected or gets ingrained into our breathing? And then how can we use the power in our breathing to actually transform and change our life?
Yeah. So this is something very important for me, and it's something I've learned with Leonard. and I remember Leonard and Heike, because Heike is one of your speakers and she was one of my teachers. When I went to Leonard, Heike was there, so she teaches me. And Leonard and Heike are so precise and cautious, like they can stay with someone who is breathing and pay attention to every microsecond of the breath. It's so beautiful. And so first, we all know that our emotional state has an impact on our breathing pattern. So you know that when you're in fear or when you're stressed out, you don't breathe the same way as when you're fully relaxed. So it's all about, you know, like this, sorry, sometimes I lost the word in English, but I don't know if you know this, in French we say cohérence cardiaque. It means like it's a rhythm of the heart. When you will breathe like 6 inhale, exhale during 1 minute. And this is the rhythm of your breath that leads you to a very calm state of mind. So our breath first is really a mirror of our emotional state. So just simply as this, you know, like when you feel stressed out or any kind of emotion, you just slow down your breath, take full breath, and then you will quiet your mind, come back to a state of peace and calm.
So you're talking about coherent breathing there.
Yes.
The 5.5, 6 breaths a minute.
Yes, that's it. But then with breathwork, I think we go even deeper than this. One of the teachers I had more recently is Dan Brûlé, who is a very famous breathworker that I really love. And Dan, I remember he said once, you can't be able to release any kind of fear, you can't release any kind of anxiety, you can't release any limiting belief if first you don't know how to release your exhale. And I think that's really true. So exhaling is just a way our body let go of what it doesn't need anymore. So we breathe, and the exhale is just, okay, whatever is not useful for the body is just released with the exhale. And when we learn how to release this exhale, just like a sight of release, you know, then we can also release everything. And it's really like this metaphor of when we learn how to release the exhale, we send a signal to our bodies that we can also release everything that doesn't serve us anymore. So when something is like a relationship ends, or a situation ends, or just every moment, you know, every moment is finished, it's finished, it's finished. We need to let go of everything which is not now. And this goes really with this way of releasing the exhale in a very calm and peaceful way. And with the inhale, it's also, you know, when you look at how someone breathes, you can learn so much about them. And you know, an animal, when an animal feels in danger, one of the things the animal do is to hold their breath. It's like when the animal holds their breath, they feel protected, they feel hidden. So it's like, now I'm invisible, and it's like the danger won't find me because they hold their breath. And that is also very true for us. So when we're just taking very small inhale, it's like we're just in survival mode, you know? We're just inhaling just a bit so that we can survive, but then we are very small and we don't make so much noise. And you see, just like now I'm reducing my breath, and I can see that my body is going like this, you know? It's kind of, it's a reflex almost, like I'm hiding myself. Whereas when I take a full deep inhale, it's like my whole body is expanded and opening, and I really can take all my space, and I can, you know, like make my voice heard. So yeah, that really shows like how much we are able to let go and how much we are able to take space. And to me, it's like how much alive we are. And we can't be fully alive if we're not taking all this energy that's here.
That's beautiful. So your body gets affected, your mind gets affected by the way you breathe. Talk about the spirit, right? Because you are a transpersonal therapist and you work with the spirituality of the people. So how have you integrated breath work into your own spirituality, uplifting you, and then also for your clients and your students?
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna start. I remember this quote that I read once from David Deida. David Deida, he's a tantric teacher. And he wrote once, breath is the way our body make love to God. And I found this quote so beautiful. And well, to me, when I teach breath work, it's really my spiritual practice. And I see especially when I do a group, I teach breath work and it's almost like something is going through me. And sometimes I can guide my group and I have tears of gratitude. I feel light around me. I feel energy moving in me, but also around me. And yeah, sometimes words come out of my mouth and I have no idea what I said. It's like when I teach breath work in a group, it's really like something is going through me. So to me, it's my spiritual practice to teach. But well, the way I often introduce breath work is to remind us that, of course, breathing is, to be alive means breathing. It's the first thing we did when we came was inhaling, and we will live with an exhale. So breathing is our contact, our link with something bigger than us. It's not only a mechanism, physical mechanism. It's like every time I inhale, I'm in contact with this, like with this mystery of life and with this energy that goes everywhere, that supports and creates everything that exists, that supports and creates nature, people, animals. And this energy goes through me when I inhale. I'm not just inhaling oxygen. I'm also just connecting with this energy. And you know, the air that I breathe today, maybe it's the air that you breathed 2 days ago, or that you will have in a week. So it's also what's really connecting all of us. And just thinking about this, make breathing and breath work a spiritual practice. Because when I breathe, when I inhale, I receive energy, I receive life. Yeah, that's how I would explain it.
Lucille, you have emphasized so much on the feminine, right? Discovering your feminine, also incorporating the feminine in your practice. Would you tell us a little bit more about how have you done it and what do you specifically mean by that?
Yeah, so, you know, when I teach breathwork and I ask people to do very active inhale, because that's the way we do, you know, we have to be active on the inhale. At first, I would see people really being like, kind of almost tense, you know, it's like, and I realized that for many people, being active meant being tense in a way. And I thought, wow, that's very much like how we are in the society, you know, we are all stressed out, we're like focusing on goals and what my objective, and I need to do this, and I push and I push. And that's really the imbalance between feminine and masculine, because when there's an imbalance with too much masculine, then the masculine, which is action, becomes kind of control, becomes very pushy. And I could see that when I was saying to people, be active on your inhale, people would be like, and it sends kind of, yeah, like a strong, difficult message in the body. And so once I press with a beautiful lady whose name is Christabel, and she has a school who's called Breath of Bliss. And Christabel has a very feminine way of doing. And And I was observing that, and she inspired me this way to say, you can be active on your inhale, but you're not the one taking the energy. You're active, but you're the one receiving the energy. And it makes a whole difference, because it means I can be active, I can be fully present, I can decide what I'm doing, but still from a place of relaxation and receiving, and not trying to take and push, and And so it's very simple, but the inhale I guide is of course very full, like starting from the belly and then the chest, but it's in a way it's like something like this. And I know when I do this, it's very subtle, maybe for the people who watch, but in my body, it's something like I decide, so it's still active, it's my decision to open my mouth and open myself to receive prana, to receive energy. And this makes and receiving is the feminine side, like man is more giving and feminine energy is more receiving. So yeah, that's something very important, and it's like being in that state of work, because it's breath work, so we're working, but still from a very relaxed way, and with this consciousness that we are receiving. Yeah, and also I think it changed, because the body keeps memory of everything, so it gives the body the signal of, you can be here, you can be present, you can work, but still being also in your feminine.
And I recall yesterday during an interview with Arne Renzen, he showed us a very beautiful picture that he made about a mountain and a car driving up the mountain in circle. And at the bottom, he shows there's a house on fire, and he says, that's your trauma. And then you think that this path is going to take you out of trauma. When you come around the mountain, you see it again, and the alarm bell goes off again. So breath is something like that, because you also, in your description, you also talk about the soul retrieval process, visiting that memory, the trauma in life, and then working through that trauma. So take us through the journey of you leading someone through a breathwork session, and they encounter that memory, that trauma again, and then facilitating them, through that process. How do you do that? What are some of the methods that you apply in your practice?
Well, first, and I will just quote Leonard on this one, first you need to keep breathing. Keep breathing, keep breathing, keep breathing, because that's how energy moves, and our trauma are stored in our body and are stored in our energetic body. So we need to go through it. And trauma, usually it's trauma happened because we were not able to fully process the whole experience, to go through the whole experience. So it was too much, too difficult. So we contracted ourselves. When we contracted ourselves, we hold our breath. That's always like when something happened, we hold our breath. And so it kind of made an imprint inside of us. It's like, I stop, I freeze. And when I freeze, I kind of create this imprint inside of me, and then it stays in my body. And soul retrieval, it's like when this happens, if it's too difficult, there's a part of us who kind of goes away. And in shamanism, it says that it's almost like pieces of our soul that couldn't stay in the body because it was too difficult, and they left, and they go. And sometimes they go into this underworld, like where the vibration is very low, and it's like the world of trauma and the world of very low emotion or vibration. And it's the same with our energetical body. And me, I had this experience once during a breath work where it started with a feeling of shame, and I couldn't really understand why. And I went so much in that shame, like it's like you put me in shame, like 100%. And then images started to come back, memories, and I recall some situation, And I had the memory of the situation, but I had forgotten how much shame and guilt I was carrying, or I had felt, because at that time I couldn't feel the shame; it was too much. So I left. I experienced the situation, but I completely disconnect from the emotion. But this shame stayed inside of me, of course. So once during a breath work, it came back, and when it comes back, and we guide someone, we have to make them breathe again, feel safe, because we need to feel very safe to go through this, and keep the body relaxed and feel the emotion, because the emotion was suppressed years ago. So now we don't want to suppress it again. We want to just go through. And once we go through, like the whole thing can just process. And when it's processed, it can leave the body. And that's very similar to this soul retrieval. Like in my experience, after that, I felt not the same person anymore. I felt like as if I had found a part of me that I had left away very long time before. And this part of me just came back, and the next day I was much more present, much more grounded, much more myself, because this part of me that I had left away with shame, I just reintegrated it. Yeah. So breathing, because we contracted our breath when the trauma happened. So when we do this breathing exercise with connected breath, it's like going through the body and yeah, kind of releasing everything which is stored inside with the breath, because we stopped our breath. So with the breath, we can find it again.
And coming from the yoga world, Lucille, we know that in pranayama, we have exercises that actually teach people to hold the breath. So, and I know in the conscious connected breathing movement, it's all about the continuous inhale and the exhale and the merging of the inhale into the exhale. And yesterday, while I was listening to a recent book that came out, it's called Breath by James Nestor. And he talks about the difference between holding the breath unconsciously, which is when we go in and that fear comes and we are like the animal kingdom, we are holding the breath to feel safe, and doing it consciously. Because as I was also interviewing many of the speakers on this summit, they all mention and emphasize about not holding the breath. But it was also interesting for me to then distinguish that between what we teach in the yoga world in pranayama, because that's a conscious hold. That's not an unconscious, subconscious hold. But so that's the big difference between mastering even the holds, but in a conscious way, and making sure that you don't keep that breath trapped all the time unconsciously.
And there are breath work like Soma or Wim Hof, I think, as well, who works consciously and on purpose with holding the breath. And yeah, as you said, when it's done on purpose and consciously, yeah, then it has another effect.
Well, Lucille, it's wonderful talking to you, but we also want to get a little taste of a practice. Do you have anything for us to share and practice with you today?
Yeah, I think we can just go through a bit of conscious breath, conscious connected breath. I can guide you through this. So I think what we can do is do some breath and then stop, keep our eyes closed, feel, and then go again. And we can do this, but because I don't want to guide you through a connected breath during 5 or 10 minutes, because you know, when we start, if things start to come out and then we stop after 10 minutes, that won't be a good experience. And usually we need almost an hour to really process the full cycle of energy. So I don't want to start something and then just let everybody like stop and freeze in the middle of something. But we can still start to experience this way of receiving energy and being active, and release the exhale all together, if you like. We can do this. So we're going to breathe a bit, and then I will say, okay, you can release the connected breath, Maybe we stay a bit, the eyes closed, and then we can do it again, and we can do it a few times. Okay? So the way we do, so me, I work in my practice either with nose and mouth. I don't think it makes so much difference. That's a huge debate in the breathwork community, but in my experience, it doesn't make so much difference. What is very important is to always breathe through the belly and the chest. If you would breathe only with the chest, then you would go in stress, like, you know, in this stress mode, and that's not good. And if you breathe only through the belly, you kind of avoid the emotion. So you need to really breathe fully, breath and chest. So either through the nose or through the mouth. So we can start maybe just by breathing a few times through the belly, only the belly, just to relax the abdomen. So you can take a full breath in and really make your belly big. And release. And if I go through the nose, it's the same. So it's really this feeling of when I breathe in, I expand. Like I can feel my belly or my chest going upward, but also expanding on the side and also backward. So it's kind of really getting big. So if we breathe through the chest, just 2 or 3 breathe in only through the chest. And feel your body moving in every direction. And again. And now we're going to take a full inhale. So starting with the belly, like. And then you keep breathing. You feel here your diaphragm, your plexus opening. And then in your chest, and you release. So we're going to do this. You can choose if you want to do through the nose or through the mouth. You can close your eyes first before we start. Just relax your muscles, relax your face, relax your shoulders, your chest, your belly, your legs. Feel your feet on the ground if you're seated. You can also lay down if you prefer. And start observing your breath. Just observing, inhale and exhale. And this movement of when I inhale, I receive, and when I exhale, I give. And it's this energy of life going through me with each inhale and exhale. And together we're gonna start with the exhale, and with the exhale we're just gonna do a sigh of release, like and you can make a sound. It's really good if you make a sound. It helps the energy move. And this is a very, very nice practice, just to do sigh of release anytime during the day. And it says, okay, I'm ready to let go of everything that I don't need anymore. And now, after your sigh of release, you're going to take a deep inhale. Very long, very profound. And you exhale. And you inhale again. And you exhale. And you start connecting, inhale and exhale. You can help with the move of your arms if you like. So that there's no pause between the exhale and the inhale. And the inhale and the exhale. And you keep going. And if you start feeling things or your head or energy is moving, that's perfectly normal. So you just keep going and you inhale. And feel how you can be very active, very dynamic, but at the same time, you just let oxygen and prana come inside of you. It's a very gentle, very soft, very sensual practice. And every time you inhale, you let your whole body open and expand, and your chest is opening, and you exhale and you let go. Okay, a few more. You can make a small pause now. Just back to a normal breath. Keep your eyes closed. Just make a pause so that we don't move too much energy. But you can start feeling what's going inside of you. You can feel that you're more than this physical body. You're energy. You are energetic beings. And when you're ready, we're going to go and take a new full deep inhale. And release. And connect and go again. And you can imagine that all around you is just an ocean of love. Like the most beautiful energy, the most beautiful emotion, light that you can ever imagine. This is all around you. And then your next inhale, you receive this pure light, this pure energy. And you exhale and you start feeling this energy, this love circulating in you. And again, deep inhale. It's almost like you're smelling your favorite flower. You want to take the most that you can take. And you release. And you can start feeling that there's nothing to do in life. You can just open yourself to receive all the beauty, all the miracles, and then you exhale and let go. And again, you open yourself when you inhale and you let go on the exhale. It's almost as if you had wings. You can imagine a bird flying, like opening and closing the wings. And you're like this bird. You can just let yourself be guided, be supported. We're going to make another pause now. Again, just feel how it feels to receive energy, to receive life, to feel connected to something bigger than us. Feel probably some energy, some tingling things around your head or in your hands. This is all normal. And next and last one, we're going to breathe again. And you're going to imagine that you're breathing through your heart. So you take a big inhale. It's like you open yourself, the most open you can be. You receive and you exhale. And you connect, no pause. And you're going to imagine that your heart has a mouth or a nose. And you're breathing through your heart. On each inhale, you can visualize your heart opening. And on each exhale, your heart is surrendering, relaxing, opening and relaxing. And keep breathing through your heart. And let yourself be surrounded by all images, sensations, memories of what love means to you. Breathe through your heart as a flower that you can see blooming on each inhale. Stay connected, no pause. Just let this energy going through you. Let yourself be moved. Let yourself be praised. And then when you feel ready, you can just let go. Go back to a normal breath. Maybe just listen. What does your heart want to tell you now? And stay a bit in that state of surrendering, of receiving, of peace. Remember that this feeling is always inside of you. That's your true nature. And you can go back to that feeling every time when you need. You can open your eyes.
That was beautiful. I can experience the currents running all around my body, feeling of warmness and then followed by coolness. That was a beautiful practice. Thank you, Lucille, for leading us into that practice.
Thank you so much.
So if people want to know more about you and your work, how can they find that out?
Well, I have a website which is called with my name, so Lucille Thierry, like I don't know how you say, like not slash. Oh
like
my
a
God.
dash?
Just like, you know.
A dash?
Yeah, dash. And then my last name is Fauque, FAUQUE.com. And my work, I call it Alive. It's like my whole practice of coaching, therapy. I called it Alive, and because, you know, I was doing so many things, and at the end I was like, I think the purpose of all this is just to feel alive. Whatever we are doing, that's why we're here. And I felt like I've been sleeping for a part in my life during this corporate world, and now I feel alive, and that's where I want people to go. That's where I try to guide people. And my breathwork is called well, Alive Breath. And so yeah, you can find me on social media as well with the same name, Instagram or Facebook. And yeah, my work is mainly in French because now I'm in Europe. I used to be in Thailand where I was doing retreats in English. But now I'm in Europe, so it's mainly in French. But if you contact me in English, and if you don't mind my accent, I will. It will be a pleasure.
Thank you so much for your love, for your light, and your free spirit, just inspiring people to be free and listen to their heart. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for uniting us in this beautiful practice. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for listening, for being here, for your presence, for everything that you're doing in life, for your light, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucille. Namaste.
Namaste, bye. Take care.
Thank you for joining the Rebirthing Breathwork Summit, brought to you by Cultivate Prana. To learn more, visit cultivateprana.com or rebirthingbreathworksummit.com.